Hey guys, Breaking RC here with a video on how to wet sand and polish your paint. Now the reason you would do this is to remove defects from the paint. As you can see, I have a lot of water spots that aren't just going to come out with polishing, so I'm going to need to wet sand the finish. Wet sanding will also remove the orange peel from the paint. It'll give it a much smoother texture and also make it a lot shinier. In order to start, you're first going to need to clean the paint. In order to do that, you're going to have to wash the paint as well as clay bar it. Now, if you want to know how to do that, I have a video on how to wash your car as well as how to clay bar your paint. So this should help the surface be a lot smoother and clean for sanding. Once you have a clean surface, you can start wet sanding. So what you're going to do is first spray some water onto the surface. And then you're going to start with 2000 grit sandpaper and you're just going to work it into the finish. What you want to do is apply almost no pressure and work in crosshatch patterns, meaning you go up and down and then left and right. And work in small sections at a time, and you want to constantly start checking the paint to make sure you're not going through the paint. Because once you go through the clear coat, that's it. You can't actually add more clear coat, but you can still take away some if you have it left there. So the whole purpose right now is to just remove it until you see there's no more orange peel or any defects left in the paint. In order to check the finish, what you're going to do is take a clean microfiber towel and wipe off all the remaining water. And as you can see, I'm actually not ready to start buffing yet because I have this little texture in the paint, which is called orange peel, and that's what I'm trying to remove. Once you can see all of that is gone, you're ready to start buffing. Once you finish sanding with the 2000, you can move it up to 2500 and then 3000, and if you really want to, you can go 4000 and then 5000. For me, I'm just going to go up to 3000 and then start polishing. But once you finish sanding, this is a good time to start applying any touch-up paint you need to. So for instance, right here, I have a slight rock chip that I'm going to remove with some touch-up paint. And then once you've got the touch-up paint on there, you can sand away the touch-up paint to make it a little bit smoother, and then you can start buffing. One really important thing to know though is that when you're sanding, you need to constantly keep checking the paint to make sure you're not going through the clear coat. Because if you use too much pressure or you sand too much, you can actually go through the clear coat. And then once you go through the clear coat, you're down to the base coat, and that can cause some serious problems to the paint. It's going to look uneven and it's not going to look right anymore. So make sure you're constantly checking the paint to make sure you're not going through the clear coat. When you're sanding, you want to really make sure that you're using no pressure, because if you use too much, that can actually go through the paint much faster than if you're using no pressure. So if you use no pressure, you get an even coverage, and it also will look better in the end. Now moving on to compounding the paint. Now as you can see in the picture, it's going to make it go from matte to gloss. So the whole point of this is to actually remove all the major scratches, but the compound is still going to leave minor scratches in the surface. So we're going to want to make sure that we're removing all of them and taking our time while compounding. Now for this step, I'm using the compound, and I have it on my machine, which is a dual action polisher. So now what I'm going to do is take the polisher, go onto the paint, and start spreading out the polish to get it evenly onto the finish and onto the pad. Once you have it on, you can go ahead and turn the machine on and then turn it onto speed setting 1 to start polishing. And now this is the surface after you finish compounding. As you can see, all the scratches are removed, but once you look really closely, you can't see it on camera, but there are minor scratches in the finish that you can still remove by polishing. You can kind of see them on camera, but it doesn't really show up. And here it is after polishing. As you can see, the surface is super smooth. There's no texture in the paint, and there's also no scratches or watermarks. So in order to protect this, we're going to go ahead and take some wax and just apply it onto the surface. Now this is going to protect the paint as well as enhance the gloss. And just go ahead and do this onto the entire surface that you've just polished. And now go ahead and remove the wax just by taking a towel and buffing it off. As you can see, the surface is just extremely smooth and super shiny. Here is before. And here is the after.